All right, let's before I want to just talk briefly about your 2025 piece about the DOJ, but we've got a lot of cases that are extant. Obviously, the immunity case, we touched on that. What is the one other one that you are like
Chevron.
ready? It's the Chevron doctrine.
Yeah. So the whole the Chevron deference is the concept that Congress passes a law, right? A Clean Air Act, a Clean Water Act, right? And then it's up to the executive agencies to enforce those laws. So when they are trying to enforce the Clean Air Act, the EPA will make additional regulations, right? When Congress passes a financial law, it's up to the SEC to make additional regulations to enforce that law. Chevron deference is the concept that the courts, especially the Supreme Court, should defer to the judgment of the executive agencies about what Congress wanted to do and not make the judgment for themselves. The conservatives obviously hate Chevron deference. They think the courts should have all the power. We were talking about Neil Gorsuch's history with the EPA. This is direct. This is a one-to-one connection from what his mom tried to do to what he's trying to do. He doesn't think the EPA should get to decide what clean air is. He thinks Neil Gorsuch gets to decide how much lead or mercury or whatever is allowed to be in the air. He thinks that's a court decision, not a EPA decision. And from oral arguments, it felt like they were going to win. It felt like
this is, and we should say this is what this is the Loper case. There's two of them, right?
Loper, Bright, and Relentless v. So it's like a couple of cases,
right? Raimondo, I think it is.
Yeah.
Okay, and now the irony too is that if I remember correctly, the Chevron deference doctrine was developed in the case that his mom basically brought because they wanted to not do their job.
Yep.
Essentially, the EPA did. I mean, and we've seen this. We saw this during the Trump administration with what's his face from Oklahoma, who was brought in, Pruitt. Pruitt was a pro at suing the EPA and keeping them from doing their job. And then he got ahead of the EPA and it was basically the opposite. We're just not going to do anything and people are going to have to sue us to get us to do our job. She was operating in that fashion. And basically the court said, no, you got to defer. If the EPA decides that they're not going to uphold the laws in the way that you want them to, it's okay with them. But it flips now because they're in control of this stuff.
Exactly. Back during the Reagan administration, the Republicans controlled the executive agencies, so they wanted the executive agencies to make all the decisions, right? Now Republicans control the Supreme Court. They want the Supreme Court to make all the decisions. It's who all they want is the power. All they want is the power to make sure that polluters are safe from regulation. That's the whole point. You know how George W. Bush started a war against a country that didn't attack us in Iraq to finish what his daddy started. Like Chevron deference is Neil Gorsuch's Saddam Hussein, right? Like he's trying to finish what his mama started, and kill the EPA.
That case will be coming up in the next week or two. Yeah, I think hopefully our audience, we've been talking about the Chevron doctrine for 5 or 6 years, and hopefully they, people are terrified. That's what we're here for.
Tell your kids about it because, like, again, Chevron deference is so tied to whether or not we're allowed to have an environmental regulations that, like, this is literally what people should be voting on, right? Because Neil Gorsuch, he's gonna be dead by the time the bill comes due on what he does on the Supreme Court. But my kids who are 11 and 8, they will be the ones that have to suffer from it. And so I hope that younger people with the ability to vote will think about these things before they head to the polls.
Yep. One more thing to think about. Trump, the way that he intends to deal with the DOJ and the FBI. And I read your piece, and the best part about it was like you were like, I'm all for abolishing the FBI, but this is not what this is about. This is about just fully like making it a essentially the personal security division of a Trump-controlled RNC essentially.
Right? Because the FBI, look, I'm no fan of the FBI, right? Like I'm no fan of the surveillance state. I know what the FBI can do, right? But Trump's version of it is not to destroy it. It's to weaponize it even further. One of the things, it's a little small point, but think about it this way. One of their key plans in the Project 2025 MAGA fascist takeover is to fire all of the lawyers who work for the FBI. Well, what did the lawyers do for the FBI other than tell the FBI, buddy, you can't do that. But there's
right.
Fourth Amendment, Constitution, you can't do. And then fire those guys, fire the people who are in charge of restraining the FBI so it can be fully deployed against MAGA's enemies, which include women, people of color, and especially immigrants. That's the whole plan, to put the FBI, to put the DOJ on offense, right? They want the Civil Rights Division, the Division of Civil Rights in the DOJ. They don't want them to defend civil rights. They want them to defend white supremacy. They want them to literally sue companies who have diversity and inclusion programs, right? To have DEI programs. That's what they want to sue. They want the Civil Rights Division to be worried about the civil rights of white folks who are in the majority and control all three branches of government. That's their kind of thought process there. So it's crazy, but it's also, and I tried to put this in the piece, Sam, it's so petty. Like, these people are so petty. They had whole screeds about Hunter Biden's laptop and penis. Like, they're so focused on that, right? They're so concerned about, like, and parent, every time I yell at a teacher, somebody says I'm the asshole. Like, it's almost like the Reddit "Am I the asshole" thread swing through a MAGA lens and put into a document for how to remake the DOJ. And it's scary and terrifying, but it's also just so small. These people are so small.
I mean, we saw this with the Alito stuff, where Martha Alito is like, my husband. I mean, the subtext is, my husband is one of maybe the 12 of the most powerful people in the world in terms of, like, having the implications to make a decision and impact extra lives. And I can't wait until he retires so that I can fly whatever flag I want, because of those people across the lagoon have a pride flag. Like, this is insanity. The aggrievement is just, it's insanity.
It would be funny if they weren't powerful, right? It'd be funny if they weren't so dangerous, but, like, their aggrievements turn into nightmares for the rest of us, right? Their petty grievances become our lived reality. And it's ridiculous that they have so much power, but they are some small-minded folks, man.
Elie Mystal, we will put a link to your pieces in The Nation. People should be checking that on a regular basis, because we could have Thursday and Friday. More Supreme Court cases are dropping. I imagine we'll have some more the following week as well. And then somewhere around 2028, they'll get to the Trump immunity question. And so,
and hopefully that'll be done so I can stop caring about them for the 4th of July. My only goal.
Elie Mystal, thanks so much. Always a pleasure.
Have a nice one.
Thanks so much.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.